Welcome to Journey to Justice. I'm Eiko Kosasa, your host for today. A few weeks ago, I interviewed Gwen Kim, a retired social worker and a social justice activist for over 40 years. She has worked on issues ranging from labor to anti-eviction/development to Hawaiian rights to a nuclear-free Pacific. Gwen is a grandmother. She's a compassionate woman, and I enjoyed listening to her thoughtful comments on people and on life. I began the interview by asking her where was she born and raised.
I was born and raised in Hawaii, and then initially as a child around the McCorriston Street, Kapuhulu area,
Yeah.
and with my uncles, they were surfers and beach boys, and then we eventually moved to Kahalu'u because my father had inherited some land from his mother. He was the oldest of 10 Korean children, and there had been a plantation in that area originally, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so that's where I was raised in Kahalu'u,
Wow.
in the farming area, and then I went to Waihole Elementary, Ben Parker, and then I graduated from Castle High. Yeah.
Wow. My mother went to Ben Parker.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because she grew up on this side of the island, too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
We might even know each other or
your
know my family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my sister was from the first graduating class at Castle, first graduating, and the story she always told was that they all carried their chairs from Ben Parker to Castle. Every student carried their one chair.
You mean when they opened up Castle?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because it used to be at Ben Parker.
Yeah, because when my mother graduated, it was called still Ben Parker.
Oh, yeah. And then they carried each of them when they were the first first class at Castle.
Mm-hmm.
She always told us that story, that they each carried their chair all the way to Castle.
Wow, interesting.
Yep, one piece of forgotten history.
Yeah. Okay, and so then you graduated from Castle, and did you go to school? Did you become active in different things? I mean, how did you get political consciousness or arrive at it?
You know, I had the most wonderful mother, and she was a single parent in the days when nobody was supposed to be a single parent.
Uh-huh.
But she braved it through, and I remember her being so nurturing to me. But the one thing that she would not do, I would always ask her, okay, Mommy, what do you think? What's your opinion? What do you think I should do? And she would always say, whatever you want to do. She would always throw that back to me. What is it that you want to do? She would never say, oh, like me now, I'm famous. I will tell anybody what to do. All my children and grandchildren know that. And I have to try to learn that art, of shut my mouth and do what my mother did. My mother always said, what do you want to do? And I felt as though she had so much confidence and, respect for me and my thinking. I would get so frustrated with her that she wouldn't give me the answer, So that, I think, was engendered in me a tremendous curiosity and a desire to find the answers myself,
Yeah.
And when I was in high school, I had this teacher, Mrs. Smith, and I think her husband was with the Marine Corps and was an officer, and she was a teacher. You know, later on we found out that's how a lot of teachers came
Right.
to be at Castle
Right.
from the Marine Corps. And she gave us a reading assignment, no, a research assignment. And my belief was that the way, if you have an enemy or if you have something that you want to learn about, and in those days it was off of McCarthyism
Right.
and off of the Red Scare in China,
Right.
and so I said, I'm going to learn about those communists.
Oh.
So I did, and I had my seatmate was Diane Yim. She was Chinese, and somehow I think her family came from China or something. So we were both very into it, you know. And I remember thinking, the best way to beat an enemy or so is to learn about it.
Yeah.
So I did this research, and boy, that research just blew me away, because I learned about the barefoot doctors, people who are going from the urban areas to try to rid the country people of the pests and their illness, and about Mao Zedong and the taking of a whole country and the rebuilding and recreating of a whole country. And then I looked up the definition, because I'm going to learn about those monsters, you know, from the Red Scourge. And,
Communism.
yeah, communism, you know. And I read the definition, and it said, from each according to his ability, to each according to his need. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
isn't that what I kind of fell in love with that definition, you know.
Yeah.
From each according to his ability, to each according to his need. So I wrote this paper, my research paper, for Mrs. Smith, and I thought I would have gotten an A, but I got a C. And then I thought to myself, I think there's something here at work that goes beyond just research and the finding and seeking of truth.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, maybe I could have been a 10th grader, social studies. So I think that was like the beginning of because that was a journey that I always felt, if you don't like something, and if you really love something, but especially at that time, it was to learn about your enemy.
Yeah. And so when you studied all that, it must have been shocking in a way, right? To find out it was just very different.
Absolutely shocking to me, because of everything that
We would hear.
the dominant society, the dominant things, you know, I think that was the first time it just blew me away. And then I just went on with my life, you know, to learn about, just like everybody else. And then I went to University of Hawaii, and of all things, I was right in the middle. In my life, we're right in the middle of the Vietnam War, you know, the war, the protests.
Yeah.
My cousin, I don't know if I should say his name, but they were involved in the ROTC building.
Oh, the burning.
The burning of the ROTC building. And so that was my one, and then he was involved in starting Concerned Locals for Peace, which was the first time that there was a movement. I mean, before that was always SDS, and it was all the Howley people, and I wanted to kind of hang there, but I felt kind of alienated, you know, nobody was, my dog. And so I had that one cousin, and I was like one of these pro-American people. I was like, my question to my cousin was, why the heck don't they just go in and kill all of those people just in the Vietnam? Why are we prolonging this war? And then my cousin was like, Gwen, I think you better read some stuff. And so then I read, I think it was Hawaii Pono. There was what was that?
Pono-i.
Yeah, Hawaii Pono-i. And then To Catch a Wave by Tom Kaufman, how to get an election, you know, things like that. So he suggested I read some stuff so I not be so ignorant. So I read it, and then again, you know, I read it and I was just like floored. Oh my God, is this what happened to the Hawaiian people? Is this what they did? They stole their land, they stole their history, and look at this beautiful queen, you know. And so here was my cousin involved with the ROTC, and he was way ahead of me. Then I had my other cousin. He came home from the Vietnam War, and he had all these. He had Purple Hearts. He had bullet wounds inside of him, and when I would wake him up, he'd sleep on the floor. I had to bring a broom, and he told us, don't wake him up just because he would wake up to kill you. He was a gunner, crew chief, the gunner or something in the helicopter. And so I would poke him with his long stick, and he would be pretty frightening when that's how I, you know, Butchie, you know, get up. And then boom, he'd get up immediately. So I had those two cousins, you know, visiting me right there in my home. We're so close. We're like brothers and sisters, you know. And okay, wait. I'm getting lost in this.
No, but
the Vietnam War. And
but I was thinking, okay.
I'm so sorry, but you know why? Because there was a story that I wanted to, that he told me. He said, you know what, Gwenny, there's something wrong with this war. And he said, when you coming at a farmer, you know, you're coming at them with all you got in the Vietnam War, and here I've got the machine gun and then he puts down his farm implement to pick up a gun and shoot at you in that helicopter. He said, there's something really wrong with this war.
Wow.
Oh, that was so, and those were the kinds of experiences that, you know, I was going through right at that time in learning. Yeah, I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, you know, because you did that paper in 10th grade, right, on China, and then the quote was like Marx quote, right?
Yes.
And then in Vietnam, we were supposedly fighting, the United States, right, fighting the communists. So did you make that connection?
No. You don't get it just one time.
Yeah.
You know, you get exposed to something, kind of flips you around, but then it isn't like, oh, wow, I got it, you know.
Yeah.
Because then that was there, and, oh, wow, that was something, but, you know, made me kind of open. But then here we were in the Vietnam War, and I'm thinking, we got all this firepower, we have this, why don't we just go out and just zap them, you know?
Yeah.
And then I learned, and I mean, can you imagine what a terrible, that's that American mentality.
Yeah.
You know, you're so colonized.
I always call it like ideology, right?
Oh,
We're
yeah.
taught they hate the Soviet Union, China, you know, they're bad people.
And you
they're not
have to
people.
you have to dehumanize them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
They're really all under the control of somebody, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this pitiful thing of McCarthyism. how
Yeah.
that just devastated. I mean, some of the more advanced people in Hollywood, everything, and just wiped them off the earth, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's that kind of a, you know, I've come to really, you know, love the power of thinking, of critical thought, that people, and I believe this, that there's are millions of doorways that people of integrity, intelligence, and courage will come through because they want to understand the world. They want to understand, just like how what we were talking about earlier, you know,
Yeah.
how each of you, you know, came through your own door, and it's different doors for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then there's that honesty, integrity, intelligence,
Yeah.
and courage. Because really, I'm sorry, if you are so dumbed down by malnutrition, inadequate, you know, ability to even think, you know, but look at, like just last night I was watching, and I saw two fabulous, I saw the Eartha Kitt story, and one of her last performances when she was in her 80s, before she died, and then Stephen Biko. What's that political lens that appears late at night on Channel 10?
Well, I don't know. I don't.
Oh, there's a political lens, and they picked up right there,
Different people's
Eartha
stories.
Kitt, and how she was ostracized because of her stand on the Vietnam War.
Oh.
Eartha Kitt was a famous,
Yeah.
famous
Singer, right?
singer, yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how she never backed down from her position.
Yeah.
You know, you feel so bad for those people that are they become apologists for their what positions that you hold them. Really, you respect them so, you know, for.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Stephen Biko, it showed
Yeah.
that he got killed, yeah, in
Yeah.
his fight.
So how did you were saying earlier on how you know, you were learning about Vietnam War and you started realizing like there's this difference, right, between sort of what the leaders are saying us how the world is, and then how your cousin was telling you, and you could see the response, and you realized that, oh, it must have to do with Hawaii. Is that how you made the connection to the struggle here? Because you've been in different struggles, you know, for, you know,
Quite
Hawaii,
a long period of
long
time.
but it's also land, housing, the Pacific, you know. So
Right.
can you share a little bit how you made these connections, or what inspired you to suddenly you're going to do something? I mean, it's one thing to know about it, but it's another thing to want to do something, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I was part of that whole, in the 60s and the 70s, people went away and they learned so much in the continent. Then there was a wave of people that came back.
Yeah.
And we actually formed collectives, all kinds of different collectives and groupings of people. And what happened with me was I got particularly, I was part of this group called the House, and many of the people eventually became quite powerful in the unions, the labor union, and even to the state. But they had a strategy to work with the plantations and etc.
Okay.
And then I got so attracted to Kalama Valley because I was working at that time in Waianae for the Legal Aid Society. That was my first professional job after I became a social worker. I got my MSW. And Kalama Valley just, because it was a land struggle, and we're in the midst of these huge swaths of land being just taken over without any concern for the people living there, the economics of what was going on and everything. So,
That was with the pig farmer George
oh
Santos,
yes,
right?
I just
That
had it, and I just had a picture. I should have brought it maybe with George and Moose Louie. Moose Louie with Kalama Valley, they were fighting against eviction of their farms, and then
Right.
even like Black Richards, they had their scrap areas and stuff, and they were all making livings though in
Yeah.
Kalama Valley. So I was so attracted to that because I could just see this phenomena of for money and for profits,
Yeah.
and then Kamehameha schools too, yeah.
That's right.
How are they going to do this? They're just going to go in and evict all of these old-time residents, and with no thought of anything, and just for money and profit.
Yeah.
So that's why I got involved in the Kalama Valley. And I was thinking about that because I've been involved in many struggles, but the ones that, really, really spoke to me, one was like the Kalama Valley struggle,
Because it had to do with the land, or
It was so clearly an injustice,
yeah.
so clearly a blatant injustice that money, profits, and value, what is value? What's the value of the people? What's the value of the land? What's the value of the future?
Yeah.
Planning, thinking, without just being wagged by the tail of money, And of course, people have the great excuse of, in their heart, I don't want to do this bad, but otherwise I'm going to lose my job. I can't make money. And so, well, I think, we all have to kind of question, like, what is our lives? What will our life stand for when you go to sleep, the summers and winters away?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Kalama Valley, was really a big one. And then, of course, Waihole Waikani, that followed, and how the people showed their strength. We stopped the development of a whole couple of valleys there. And I remember blocking that road when we set up the roadblock. And Kamehameha Highway is only a 2-lane highway. And I remember we held that highway closed for at least 3 hours. And I know because my car was part of what was blocking, and we were on this side, the Kahuku end, because we had to block it from the Kahuku end all the way over to where Hygienic Store is, where the fish pond.
Yeah.
And we held it. And do you know that all those people sat in their cars and nobody honked? They all supported that blockade.
Wow.
They supported the farmers, the tenants, the people, That was quite a riveting.
Powerful. Yeah. Yeah.
Riveting. Exciting, yeah. People were in the move to nationally, At that time, I was exposed to the Black Panthers. Russell Means and Dennis Banks visited here from AIM, because of everything that was happening with them. And we had that huge concert, Kokoa Hawaii concert, about 5,000 people, I think.
Wow. What year? Do you know what year?
That must have been about 71. Yeah. And Genoa Avi was a headliner. She had found,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And we had a lot of support from many, many people.
Yeah. As our interview is coming to a close, is there anything that you want to say that you haven't said?
Oh my God, don't you think I've said quite a
That's fine.
bit? Yeah.
Yeah, you said a lot. I just didn't know if there was something, but it's fine.
I just think people should bring their self out and do what must be done. The power of the people and the creativity is so incredible.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Nico.
Appreciate it.